Many equipment companies today struggle with the management of thousands of parts that they stock. Keeping pricing information up to date, as well as managing when and how many of what part they should stock, can be a very daunting task. Add an outdated software solution on top of this, and your parts manager is sure to be an unhappy employee. The good news is that RMI's Advantage solution puts an end to this misery. Let's take a look at how RMI's Advantage solution brings your parts department into the 21st century. What you see on screen here is an inventory item card that represents a Nissan tie rod assembly. Here on the right, you'll notice we have a quantity of 11 of these on hand in all of our different stock keeping units. We also capture all of the amount that we might have on purchase order, production order, sales order, and even service order. On the Invoicing tab, you'll notice that we have various costing methods that we support. We also allow you to specify overhead rates, indirect cost percentages, and even do price-profit calculations. On the Replenishment tab, you'll notice that we have the ability to specify what type of replenishment system we want to use. Here we've specified that we are going to purchase this from a vendor, but you could also create this as a production order. On the Planning tab, you'll notice we have reordering policy capabilities. You could specify fixed reorder quantity, maximum quantity order lot for lot, and even specify all the different fields here on the right-hand side as to what you're going to use to apply them. RMI's Advantage solution also supports item tracking, which in this particular case I've got two examples, lot tracked items or even serialized items. So if I wanted to keep track of the cost of goods sold of each individual item by serial number, I can do that. Moving on to our Warehouse tab, here you'll notice we have all warehouse capabilities, everything from picks and putaways through to physical inventory counting periods, as well as cycle counting capabilities. On the Kitting tab, you have the ability to specify whether this particular product is a kit or made up of other inventory items that you happen to stock. If I move down here, you'll notice that we have the ability to specify different prices for sales. So if we take a look at this particular pricing matrix here, you'll notice that for this specific customer, customer number 43, we are going to give them a price of $7.25. But for the customer price group of internal in this example, which may represent a different department such as the rental department, we're going to charge them $4. For all customers, if I order a quantity of 5, we're going to charge them $10. If we order a quantity of 10, we'll charge them $8. If they order a quantity of 15, we will charge them $6.50. And with our integrated CRM functionality, you have the ability to specify pricing for a specific marketing campaign. In this particular example, we've specified that we are going to charge all customers $7 if they respond to this particular campaign between the starting and ending date of 7/1 through 9/30 of 08. So we have a very good pricing matrix that allows you to specify lots of different prices. We also give you the ability to specify the vendors that you may buy this from. So in this case, I've got two different vendors with two different part numbers here, as well as two different lead time calculations. If we take a look at this one vendor here, the price from this particular vendor is if I just $3.50 to buy it from them, but if I buy a quantity of 10 of those, I will get a price of $3.25 for each one of these tie rods. So I'm buying these from the Nissan Forklift Corporation in this particular example. Now, in addition to all this, we have the ability to specify stock keeping units that I mentioned before. If we take a look at all the stock keeping units that are applied to this particular tie rod assembly, I've got 5 different stock keeping units representative of our different locations where our warehouses are. So I've got Boston, Chicago, Hartford, Los Angeles, and a service truck or a service van where we are going to stock a quantity of these particular parts. If I look at the card for my Boston SKU, here you'll notice that I've got a quantity of 7 of these on hand. Moving over to the Replenishment tab, I've specified that this is a purchase replenishment, as I had mentioned before. But if, let's say, this was the service van, it could be maybe a transfer order instead. So if I had a centralized warehouse that was going to replenish all of my different locations, or just I wanted to have certain service vans that apply to, let's say, the Boston location, I could specify to transfer the parts from my warehouse to that particular van. If I move over to the Planning tab, we've specified that this is a fixed reorder quantity for this the reordering policy here. I have a safety lead time of 1 day, and here you'll notice I've got a reorder point of 10, meaning that as soon as the quantity of items in this particular SKU falls below 10, we are going to order a reorder quantity of 10, because that's what I've specified here. So because we are at a quantity of 7, it is going to set the system to go ahead and create a purchase order for a quantity of 10. One quick other thing I want to discuss is the non-stock items in the system. Here, you'll see a non-stock item card. These represent all the inventory items that might come from a particular vendor that we do not stock normally, but that are available from that particular vendor. Now, if I decided to start stocking this particular non-stock item, I can simply create it into an item by going to my function button and choosing to create item. With our vendor price imports tool, which we're going to show you in just a couple of minutes here, it allows you to import prices for each one of the parts that that particular vendor offers. If that item happens to be a stocking item, it will update the prices under the item section that we were just working on. If it's a non-stock item, it will update the prices under the non-stock item section. Okay, so let's move on to the requisition worksheet. Here, I have the ability to go to my functions button and choose to calculate my plan, and I'm only going to calculate this for my Boston location. What the system is doing is it's scanning through every single SKU in my Boston location, looking at all of the different reordering policies and the various fields we've entered in, and it's telling me what is due to be ordered at this given time here. You'll notice that I have a tie rod assembly right hand side. That's the item that we were working with, and because we only had a quantity of 7, it's suggesting that we buy a quantity of 10. And because I set up the pricing that I showed you before, whereby if I purchase a quantity of 10 from Nissan, I get a direct unit cost of $3.25. Now what I'm going to do to generate the purchase orders for this is to carry out my action message. If I go to my functions button and specify that, this will go through and allow me to create those purchase orders. I can even print them if I wish at this time. I'm just simply going to say OK, and we'll go take a look at the purchase order that got created. Here we see the Nissan Forklift Corporation. We're creating a purchase order for that tie rod assembly. Let's just go ahead and print this to show you what you would send off to the vendor. So here it shows our company information up top, the purchase order and what our purchase order number is, who we're going to be ordering from, and where they are going to be shipping it to. And here it shows the tie rod assembly with the vendor's part number, not our own internal part number, quantity of 10 at the price of $3.25. So we make it very efficient and easy to create those purchase orders to replenish our stock. Now, as I mentioned before, we have the capability of automatically importing vendors' price files. So because RMI's Advantage solution is a multi-line dealer solution, you could have different data import routines for different price files that come from each one of your different manufacturers that you represent. So let's say in this particular case, I'm going to run the import for the parts from the Cascade Corporation, and I'm going to grab the file, the Cascade Parts Update file that they sent me, and simply come in here and say this pricing is effective as of today. So if they brought in this pricing, I can simply say OK to this, and the system will scan through that particular file and automatically update all of the parts in the system that are associated with this particular manufacturer. So let's now talk about the physical inventory journal capabilities that are built into our Advantage solution. So here, I'm going to pull up the physical inventory journal, and what I'm going to do is first off go to my functions button and choose to calculate my inventory for just my Chicago location. If I move over to my options tab, I'll put a starting document number in here, and what this will do is scan through and it'll show me or count for me every single part that's in my Chicago warehouse. It calculated, for instance, that I have a quantity of 3 of these shims here, and it gives me the capability of editing that amount. So if I print off the document to give to my staff that they are going to go out to the warehouse and count each one of these particular items, I can come in here and they'll say, let's say they filled in for the shims that there really was only a quantity of 2. They would manually fill it in here for a quantity of 2. And then if I came back to the screen here and changed this to a quantity of 2, you'll notice that the system is set to now do a negative adjustment of a quantity of one of these. So because our Advantage solution has the ability to integrate or is fully integrated back with the general ledger, this will automatically do a negative adjustment both in our GL as well as the quantity of inventory items that we have. So you'll go through, fill out all of these, and then simply go to your posting button and choose to post this physical inventory journal. If you would like to learn more about RMI and our Advantage solution, please visit us on the web at www.rmiusa.com or call us at 1-800-252-5011.